Our next guest is a highly acclaimed author and co-founder of the literary journal Joyland. And in her latest novel, she's redefining what it means to have a bad hair day.
Joining us now to discuss her new book, The Blondes, is writer Emily Schultz. Welcome to Arise.
Emily,
Thank you so much
for being here. I'm so proud of you. And the reviews have been incredible. Just to name a few, they're calling The Blondes a funny, dark send-up of the strange hold of gender, suspenseful, ferociously clever, exceedingly well-written, poignant and hilarious, and even Margaret Atwood. One word, wow. Margaret Atwood.
Yeah, that was fun.
What's it feel like to have universal praise for your book?
I don't know, kind of scary.
Yeah.
But a lot of fun at the same time.
Yeah. Well, the book is about a mysterious global pandemic dubbed the Blonde Fury.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about what happens.
Okay, basically what it is there's a rabies-like virus and it starts infecting women, and they discover it's only women who have their hair blonde, whether it's natural or dyed. So.
And what inspired this story? You're a brunette, I see.
I am a brunette.
But you've been all shades of colors. Did you have a bad experience with the blonde hair?
You know, I actually really liked being blonde.
You did.
Did you have more fun?
I did have more fun, although it was strange. It was a little bit like being in costume, and people who knew me really well sometimes didn't recognize me on the street.
Really?
So it was a little bit like becoming someone else, becoming anonymous. And I was surprised also that blondes are treated a little bit differently.
How so?
Really?
A lot more attention, to be honest.
Really? Is that right?
And I'm kind of a little bit shy. I'm not a wallflower, but I'm not used to being the center of attention. So it was strange for me.
Did you enjoy having all eyes on you in that way, or no?
For a couple months, and then I went back to my natural color.
So is that what inspired this story?
It inspired it a little bit, but what really got me going with the idea was I was on an airplane with my husband, and we were traveling from Toronto to New York. And I was flipping through a magazine and saw this Gucci ad of women in safari wear. And they looked kind of vampiric. They were all blonde, and I just thought they looked like they were going to rage out and hurt somebody. And that was where the idea came from, of a blonde disease that makes women angry and crazy.
Oh, interesting. But this is a new genre for you. Why did you decide to try your hand at the horror thriller type of book?
You know, I didn't know if it was horror or thriller until it came out. And then people started responding to it that way. I mean, because it's a little bit funny, too. I mean, if you say a disease that only affects women based on their hair, that's funny, right?
Yeah, it's hysterical. It's a great premise.
So.
What have the blondes in your life made of this?
You know, it's interesting. My blonde friends seem to have liked it. And the thing I've noticed is that the reviewers, if you look at their photos or you search them, they're largely blonde. So I think it's getting assigned to blonde reviewers.
Well, does blonde represent, a deeper thing in the novel? Is it just hair?
You know, that's an interesting question, because I think that it's about hair identity, maybe more so than hair color. I think that a lot of women struggle with their hair, and how they wear it kind of tends to define their sense of self. You know, whether your hair is straight or curly, or you wear it long or you wear it short. And so I just wanted to focus on that, on what hair means to us as we move through our lives and our daily rituals.
Talk to us about your relationship with your hair and your evolution in regards to how you feel about your hair.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've struggled with my hair most of my life. It's very big and thick, and it's curly if I make it curly. But most of my life I tried to straighten it, or I wore it very short. So I think that was the other thing for me, is I just wanted to think about hair as horror a little bit, because it's such a fight.
It's
true.
Yeah.
It's such a fight in the morning with the hairbrush and the,
I think it's a universal experience for all women also.
I think so too. And that's why I wanted to do natural and bleached, is because I wanted the disease to be something that could affect all people, not just women that were born blonde.
That's true.
Well, do you think our hair color has a deeper impact on how it defines who we are?
Well, that's a funny question. I mean, I think it does and it doesn't. I certainly know, not all blondes are vivacious and accommodating and more fun. There are a lot of quiet, very intelligent blondes. And I wanted to put some of those women in the book too. So certainly not all of the blondes in the book are rampaging. Some of them are very intelligent, highly accomplished, quiet women.
And Hazel is your protagonist, correct?
That's right.
Okay, talk to us about how Hazel came to be. Was she just a little figment, a notion first, and then your process? Walk us through it.
What I wanted with Hazel, she's a grad student, and she's writing her PhD in a subject called aesthetology, which is not a real field of study. It's about how women see each other and ways of looking. And it was basically, it came together when, in the book, the Harvard School of Business decided to get together with Empire Beauty Schools to increase female enrollment. And so they made this field of study called aesthetology. And I thought to have a grad student who's somewhat schooled in ways of looking at people would be a good person to lead us through a virus that's kind of based in vanity.
Interesting. Okay, but this book came out in 2012 overseas. So how are the different audiences internationally perceiving it compared to what's going on here in the U.S.?
Well, that's where it gets interesting. In Canada, they really saw it as a literary book about female relationships. And in France, they saw it as more of a political satire. And then here, I think it's going over more as horror and thriller. So it is interesting to me to see how people are taking it.
How different cultures react.
Right.
Now let's talk about the movie. When is it happening? Is Reese Witherspoon calling you up as we speak? What's going on?
I don't know about that. I would love it. I can imagine her in one of these roles.
Absolutely.
She would be great for Grace, who's the wife. Hazel has an affair with. She has an affair with her professor, who's a married man, and she becomes pregnant in the middle of all of this disaster and chaos. And she winds up being, I'm not giving too much away, I don't think, but she winds up being trapped in a cabin with Grace, who is a blonde.
All right.
So again, movie option.
Right, come on.
There's been a lot of interest, so
Okay.
I'll keep my fingers
Fingers
crossed.
crossed.
All right. Well, before you go, I have to ask you about the mix-up that happened with your first book, Joyland, with Stephen King and him saying you're his hero. How does that story go?
Well, my first novel was called Joyland. It's also the name of a literary website I run. But Stephen King brought out a novel called Joyland, and he didn't release his in digital right away. And so there was some confusion between readers who bought my book by mistake. And I thought it was funny, and so I started a blog called Spending the Stephen King Money, because I got a nice royalty check, and I thought I have to document how I spent this money that I think was probably meant for Stephen King.
But
How
you
did
didn't
you
mind.
spend it?
Oh, I did all those things that writers put off doing, like haircuts, shopping at IKEA,
Nice.
extra daycare for my son so that I could get more writing done.
Smart.
Oh, you were responsible.
No, that's not fun. Come
And
on.
I bought a new laptop, so I like to think that Stephen King bought me the laptop I'm writing my next novel.
Ooh, so what is your next novel going to be? You going to stick with some drama, some thrillers, horror, what?
It's kind of a noir, actually. It's set during Prohibition in Detroit, and it's about a group of rum runners.
Nice. I
okay.
love that.
We're looking forward
that has
to it.
movie all over it too.
Definitely.
Oh my goodness.
So come back when both movies come out, okay?
Thank you.
All right,
You've
thank
been
you.
such a pleasure. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
being here.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
All right, we'll see you
I think
soon.
I might go blonde.
Yeah, go for it. I think you could actually rock it, couldn't she? She could totally rock
You
it like
could
Beyonce.
rock it, but you might be at risk for the disease.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Then never mind. Don't do that. Don't do that. We want you here for a long time. And we want you here for a long time. So come right back to Arise 360.